It was a crime so brutal, so terrifying, so violent and cold-blooded, newspaper headlines couldn't begin to capture the viciousness. On a cold February night in 1970, 20-year-old Mary Petrie and her boyfriend, 22-year-old Bill Sproat, were discovered murdered in Bill's off-campus apartment on West 8th Avenue. The autopsies revealing the savagery of the crime. Bill stabbed more than 20 times, his wrists bound to his ankles with wire hangers, a gag in his mouth. Mary stabbed more than a dozen times, her skull crushed with a bowling ball. She'd been sexually assaulted, bloody fingerprints found at the scene. What happened inside this apartment all those years ago haunted detectives then.
What they walked into was just a gruesome, brutal scene.
And now. Columbus Police Cold Case Detective Sergeant Terry McConnell is trying to solve this 54-year-old cold case.
The big thing is we don't know why.
Or who. Mary and Bill were both college students who'd been dating for over a year. She was in her third year studying French at Mount St. Joseph College in Cincinnati. He was a grad student at OSU who'd earned a French degree from Xavier. He'd introduced Mary to his circle of friends.
So I knew about Mary's love for Bill and his love for her.
Mary's twin sister Martha recalls the last Christmas her family spent together just weeks before the tragedy. The sisters were known for their close bond, and they played a twin switch game with their relatives.
Mary and I had agreed that if one of our relatives, because they were grandparents, etc., one of our relatives called us by the wrong name, we would just pretend to be that other twin. As we were clearing dishes, Mary very quietly, because she had a quieter voice, "We're so glad that you know us so well, because I am not Martha." We were blessed to have that kind of relationship.
The night of the murders,
Well, you know, some twins have ESP.
Martha experienced a chilling premonition.
I woke up choking to death.
She was alone in her dorm room in Minnesota.
And I remember going to, there was a corner sink in our room, and I can remember feeling like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe.
Little did she know her twin sister Mary was taking her last breaths hundreds of miles away. It was Bill Sproat's roommate who discovered the grisly scene. He was quickly eliminated as a suspect, as was the cab driver who dropped Mary off at Bill's apartment that day. The investigation that followed was intensive but ultimately fruitless. Despite exhaustive efforts by detectives, leads dried up, detectives retired or moved on, and the case went cold. After so long, the emotional toll on the Petrie family has been immeasurable.
I think that for my family, some of my siblings have been quite content with just letting the case rest.
But Mary always hoped that new detectives would take up the case. In fact, the evidence had been preserved meticulously, with the original investigators hoping that advancements in technology might one day provide the breakthrough they need.
One of the biggest things now, and everybody's talking about it, the investigative genealogy, that's kind of becoming the new upfront tool that we can use to solve these cases.
CPD's recent hire of a genetic genealogist brings a glimmer of hope. Sergeant McConnell and his team have sent evidence for advanced DNA testing, praying it will finally reveal the killer's identity. Genetic genealogy has breathed new life into cold cases, tracing DNA through family trees to uncover suspects who have evaded justice for far too long.
This is one of the oldest cases that I've been working on, and just seeing how our detectives and crime scene agents have preserved that evidence over the years has been very beneficial for us today. Now that we have these tools, that we can go back and grab some of that evidence and reprocess it using today's technologies.
Mary and Martha were exceptional letter writers, those surviving letters offering a poignant glimpse into Martha's sister's final days and her deep love for Bill. As the years pass, the sense of loss endures.
There's always a missing chair at the table. And that's what it feels like, that there is not a wholeness. Do you know, there's something that went terribly amiss.
So far this year, 20 cold cases have been solved by the CPD case review team, several by using this new DNA technology. Some of the evidence from this cold case is already being reprocessed to see if they can get a good DNA profile of a suspect. Kurt Ludlow, ABC 6 News.